Welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Cabral.
Welcome back, everyone. We're here today on our first Cabral HouseCall of the weekend, answering your questions on all things wellness, weight loss, weight gain, anti-aging, longevity, you name it. That is what we are here to talk about. So glad you could join me here on the weekend edition of the show. Love being able to reach out a little bit to our community, see what's been going on, what your questions are, and do my best, of course, to give you non-medical advice, non-diagnosis, non-medical treatment plans or cures, right? So I have to give you always that little disclaimer. What I want to do is I want to help you get to the underlying root cause. What's the bottom line reason as to why you have the health issues that you have? We're going to look at foundational-based principles. We're going to look at what are these underlying root causes and give you the next best place to get started, all right? Let's dive into the show. The first question today is from Victoria. And by the way, if you want to read along, would love you to. For all the questions, head on over to stephencabral.com/2605 is today's show. 2605, stephencabral.com/2605. All right. Victoria's up first. Hello, Dr. Cabral. I want to thank you for the wonderful vitamins. I'm about to get a tooth implant. Do you think holistic is best? What do you suggest? All right, Victoria, thanks so much for writing into the show. This came in the beginning of or mid-January. Just letting you know, we're typically about 12 weeks behind. I don't think this is too much different. We seem to be doing a little bit better than 12 weeks, but of course, we just answer your questions in the order they come in. So I have a whole show dedicated to biological dentistry, as well as tooth implants, root canals, and more. So you can search that over at stephencabral.com/podcasts, and you'll actually be able to look for root canals and tooth implants. And I go through the most hyperallergenic ones. You'll see words like zirconium and titanium. So definitely check that out. So yes, holistic is best. The bottom line is this. A lot of these decisions can be made much easier for you by going to IAOMT.org, which is basically an international association of biological dentists that practice safe mercury amalgam removal, as well as a lot of these safe implants. So definitely check that out, all right? IAOMT.org and my previous podcast. If you ever can't find a podcast, we'll find it for you. Just write in at cabralsupportgroup.com and we should be able to find it that same day, all right? Laura's up next. Hi, Dr. Cabral. I followed you for many years now and need your advice. I'm a healthy 37-year-old female who practices your daily foundational protocol along with your quarterly detoxes. I had a routine laparoscopic surgery for endometriosis, and 2 days later was admitted to the hospital with septic shock due to Strep A in my uterine lining, found during surgery and biopsied, which turned systemic. Very long story short, I'm dealing with a whole host of issues in the ICU. This is very rare, and I'm on many different intense antibiotics and have developed an illeus in my colon. You won't see this until I'm released from the hospital, but I'm wondering where to start to rebuild my system and repopulate my gut and build a healthy immune system. Any advice is appreciated. All right, happy to help on this. We want to understand too, well, let's go through. So we've got a bacterial overgrowth, right? We've got a bacterial infection. You're on antibiotics. The hospital's taking care of this. Where do we go? I just want to state this because, Laura, I want to help you as quickly as humanly possible. If you go to stephencabral.com/podcast and you type in antibiotics, you'd see a house call I did, what to do if you have to take antibiotics, what to do after you take antibiotics. And it goes through a whole gut healing protocol. You might need to do the CBO protocol plus the clean gut probiotic and healthy gut support to help with that healing and sealing. No matter what, clean gut probiotic and healthy gut support to work on healing and sealing the gut wall after taking antibiotics, which throws off your gut microbiome. But you may also need to do that CBO protocol. If possible, the best thing to do is run the gut bundle lab test to know for sure if there's candida overgrowth that may have happened from taking the antibiotics, which is very common, or not. You can find those labs at stevencabral.com/labs. Click on gut bundle, or if you just want to run one of the labs, you could run the candida metabolic and vitamins test. So that's totally up to you. All right, so hopefully that's helpful, and appreciate you. Just for everybody, in ileus, basically, here's what happens. When food is broken down in the intestines, it moves from the small intestine, the large intestine. The large intestine is called the colon, and it moves in wave-like patterns, and that moves the waste, the bacteria, out of the body. That's the ileus. So ileus is the wave-like motions. Sometimes when you're given antibiotics or you have surgery or something like that, you lose that wave-like motion for a couple days. It typically comes back on its own. If it doesn't, it can be stress-induced. We use things like magnesium. We use things like Adrenal Soothe and other items like that. But again, I can't give you any medical advice, nor am I, but hopefully all the information I just shared is helpful. All right? Chelsea's up next. Hello, I have a recurring blockage in my bowel on the lower right side, as in my actual right side, not the right side if you were looking at me. So ascending colon, I believe. Oh, you're right, Chelsea. That is the ascending colon. Very good. It comes and goes depending on the week. I've done many quarterly detoxes, intestinal cleanses, gallbladder cleanses, CBO twice, and it seems to be coming back. I've worked with my health coach, but I am still struggling to understand why. I could still be eliminating daily, but it seems something is stuck and causing some bloating, pain, etc. Do you know what could be causing this? The answer is yes. Sometimes I think it may be when I eat too much fat, but overall my diet, supplementation, and hydration is healthy and stable. Thank you. All right. You know it. Like, you know your body, and that's awesome to see. And part of it is that you've been through the Equal Life detoxes, the intestinal cleanse, the CBO, so you get it. All right. It can be two things. Again, non-diagnostic. Here's the thing. Ileocecal valve dysfunction. You can look that up at stevencabral.com/podcast. Please look up ileocecal valve dysfunction. That could be it. The second thing is, it is actually a liver gallbladder issue from when you are eating too much fat or there's some congestion there, right? Those are the two main things I believe it to be. Check out my previous podcast that will go in depth on ileocecal valve dysfunction caused by bacterial overgrowth or stress. That's why sometimes the CBO, you're like, oh, what's the only reason that we've seen in our practice that people have recurring gut-based issues? Typically it's stress, right? And that causes ileocecal valve dysfunction, which allows bacteria from the colon to come back into the small intestine and keep that valve open. Now they actually have therapists that help with calming that ileocecal valve, and you can learn to do it on your own while you're calming your overall central nervous system. So check out my previous podcast on ileocecal valve dysfunction and how fat can cause gallbladder issues as well, only obviously with gallbladder-based congestion. Thank you, Chelsea, for writing in. Anonymous says, hi, Dr. Cabral. I have an odd observation. I was wondering if you could explain. When I sit in the sauna after lifting weights, the left side of my body sweats considerably more than the right side, being most notable on my arms. Is there something to this, or am I just simply a left-handed sweater, if such a thing exists? Thanks again for your time and continuing to stimulate my curiosity. Okay. Well, again, I don't go and I do any outside research. I can tell you a couple things. I always use Occam's razor, and it means sometimes the simplest answer is the right answer or best answer. In this case, and again, this might be too simple, which is why I'm going to give you a more complicated one after this that I prefer it not to be. Simple one is this. Do you sit with your left side closest to the heater in the sauna? If so, it could be appreciably hotter on that left side. Like, legitimately, a sauna is hotter the closer you sit to the heater. So like when I take people into my big barrel sauna in Maine, if it's their first time in a sauna or they've never really saunaed and they're not used to the heat like I like to crank it up, I sit near the heater. They sit, which is 6 feet away from the heater, not as hot, which is closer to the door. If they are a seasoned sauna person, they might sit a little bit up. When it's hotter, the higher you go in a sauna, right? Okay, so that's the first. If that's not it, and you just switch it, you sit on the other side, right? Okay, enough said. Now, this could be, again, non-diagnosis, no medical advice, could be a neurological issue or a block in the lymph and sweat glands, which we would prefer it not to be. Asymmetrical sweating should be evaluated by your doctor if that is the case, because it could be neurological, could be blockages. So I know you wrote in January 19th, and the date now that this is debuting is March 25th, which looks like we're, 9 weeks or so out? That's not bad, actually, for us. So I don't know, maybe you tried it yourself sitting the other way. If so, and you're only sweating on one side, let your doctor know. Take photos of the left arm and the right arm and check the armpits. If your armpits aren't sweating, only on the left side, not the right, look to see if there's a neurological issue. This is important to look at with the parasympathetic nervous system activation. All right? Thank you, Anonymous, for writing in. Pam says, hi, Dr. Cabral. A big thank you for all the valuable information you share. I've learned so much from listening to your podcast. My question is the following. My husband, 60 years old, has lost the hair on his legs from the knee down. This area is also red. He doesn't mention any other symptoms like pain or itching. He tells me the doctor told him it's nothing to be worried about, and this sometimes happens as we age. My feeling is the body's trying to tell him something. What do you think could possibly be causing this? Thanks so much. Okay, so there's a lot of issues why men can lose hair on their legs as they age. And they typically, just as you stated, lose it from the knees down. And the most common reason that I've seen is a lowering of testosterone. Testosterone, when converted to dihydrotestosterone, can actually cause men to lose hair on the head. But when testosterone gets too low, it can also cause hair loss. It's this like double-edged sword where testosterone must be kept in this sweet spot, right? Not too much, not too little. So that is the most common reason that I see in men losing hair on their legs as they age. Another reason is abrasion. If they started wearing like dress socks more often and that caused an issue, that's one. Another one is poor circulation. As men get older, women as well, they're just not as active and they have poor circulation and edema. So the blood flow does not nourish the capillaries and the hair follicles low on the legs and sometimes the hands and wrists, forearms, etc. So there can be hair loss that way. So there's many different reasons. Did you say, I don't know if he has any hypertension or anything like that, but if there's hypertension, if there's arterial-based issues, it could absolutely be a circulatory issue. We want to check that out. And the other one could be testosterone. So you can run the testosterone lab right at home. You can just literally run a testosterone test by going to stephencabral.com/shop. Click on the labs test. You can just do just a simple saliva test for testosterone, a simple little blood stick of the finger, or the full hormones panel at stephencabral.com/labs and just click on the stress, mood, and metabolism. All right, so hopefully that's helpful. All right, let's get in our sixth question of the day, and it's from Laurie. Laurie says, can you discuss progesterone resistance? I am menopausal, estrogen dominant, and at a partial hysterectomy. Bioidentical progesterone of any kind makes my symptoms worse and disrupts my sleep. Most supplements to boost progesterone are for premenopausal. Also, I was born with one kidney, so I only have one adrenal gland. Thanks, Laurie. Got it, understand the limitations. Okay. Bioidentical progesterone may be too strong for your body. It may be too strong because you have one kidney and the liver is doing even more work. So it actually may be a liver issue, like your liver has to remove all of your hormone metabolites. So a lot of people think they can put anything in their body and you're like, oh, just let my body take care of it. Okay, well that means that your liver, you're asking your liver to take care of it because your liver is the filter of the body. So once something has been used up, your liver has to filter that out of the body. So again, no medical advice. I would do a 21-day functional medicine detox, the Equal Life Detox. That's what I would do. You can go to stephencabral.com/detox, learn more about it. It's totally up to you, but learn more about it. And even if you just want to do the first week of the fasting, the first 2 days, and then follow the days 3 through 7 meal plan for the next 2 weeks, that's okay as well. Look into another product called Progesterone Support at stephencabral.com/shop. It's what we use in our practice. Instead of using 2 to 4 capsules a day, you could start with 1, right? That might be a nice way to start it. And you want to look at a product called Estrogen balance. So again, it helps the liver to remove higher levels of estrogen because maybe you don't need any progesterone. Maybe you just need to get rid of the excess estrogen in your body that isn't balanced to progesterone. So you've got a lot of different things to work with. And if you ever want our one-on-one help, just let us know. Go to stevencabral.com/labs, click on the stress, mood, and metabolism. You run that lab right at home. It looks at thyroid, cortisol. It looks at everything, which is really what you want to know, honestly. You don't want to just test estrogen and progesterone. You want to know thyroid, cortisol, vitamin D, blood sugar levels, all that. And that's what the lab shares with you. So it's so much more powerful than just doing bioidentical hormones. It really is. I just think that's, I'm not saying I'm against it. What I'm saying is do everything natural first. Bioidentical is not natural. I'm not against it. It's not unnatural, but it's not natural. You are still putting in something that is at a higher dose than your body would typically ever get. So that's what I want to share with you, all right? So hopefully that was helpful, Laurie. I appreciate you writing in. I thank you. Appreciate the whole community. I'll be back tomorrow answering more of our community's questions. Take care, everybody. I want to sincerely thank you for your support of this podcast. I couldn't do it without you, and I mean that. I truly do. I also want to make sure you knew that we now have multiple ways for you to find your answers to the most difficult health, wellness, weight loss, and anti-aging questions. You can find podcast-specific topics like thyroid, adrenal, hormones, sleep, digestion, Ayurveda, and many more at stevencabral.com/podcasts that will then link you to your favorite Apple, Spotify, and other podcast players. Plus, all new podcasts and weekly exclusive video content is being added to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Stephen Cabral. And that's Stephen with a PH. Head on over and subscribe so that you don't miss any of the exclusive content. Lastly, if you've ever found any of my podcasts or books to be helpful, I would really appreciate it if you could leave a review on iTunes or your favorite media player for the podcast. Rating and subscribing to the YouTube and podcast allow me to reach more and more people and help spread my mission of healing throughout the world. Thank you again for being a part of this movement.